Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Marmet Council meeting, regular council meeting, June 22nd, 2021. This time, if we could stand for a moment of silence for those that can, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Raise your flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You there, BJ?
We have BJ on the phone.
Yes.
BJ. Okay.
Okay, I'd like to note all council is present. The recorder is calling by phone.
Okay.
Our counselor is present. I have department head here, street department. Okay, at this time, the order calls for approval of council meeting minutes. We have 3 of them. The first one has been sent before you this morning. That was May 17th. Do we have any comments on May 17th meeting? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Council McGee makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second, Council Skeens. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next set of minutes is May 24th, special meeting. Do we have any comments? None being heard, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Council Walker makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Council McGee. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have June 14th meeting. This was a meeting that was called by the governing body. I was informed about 2 hours before the meeting. Was unable to make it. No one bothered to call. It was sent by an email that was stale the time I'd received it. Just for the record, want people to know why I was not at that meeting. Do we have any comments on that meeting? Any been put before you? Do we have a motion to approve?
I didn't know about it either.
I make a motion to approve.
Council Long makes a motion. We have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Council Walker. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Okay, next on the agenda is committee and department reports. And I'd like to welcome Mayor-elect Fontalbert for the report. Here you go. If it works.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to present our financials for the period ended May 31st, 2021. We'll begin with the interim statement of revenues and expenditures. I believe everybody should have a copy in their packets. This is the revenues and expenditures month ended and year ended. They were also emailed for your prior review. Does everyone have a copy?
I do.
Okay. Beginning with the revenues, as usual, I'd like to look at the year-ended numbers on the right-hand segment. And you'll see that I've highlighted 5 lines for us to discuss a little bit. Those are the lines that, in my estimation, and proven out to be either in the red or black, determining upon what we've received thus far. The only thing really of note in a negative regard would be property taxes. And if you'll recall, last year we also fell slightly behind the estimate provided by the assessor's office. And again, looks like we may do so in 2021 fiscal year. We're still under budget by about $44,500. We will definitely receive distribution in June, of course, but again, we are short by about 18% of our projected budget. The good thing is our other taxes, licenses, and fees, which includes IRP, wine and liquor, etc. We've actually received 121% of our budgeted amount. We have an excess in those lines, those revenues of $33,900, which at the end of the fiscal year will more than offset the deficiency for property taxes. So bottom line, with those two lines, the first and third, I feel that we'll be more than okay with our budgeted projections. Beyond that, I have fine fees and court costs in yellow. We are behind on our collections by about $34,000, which we budgeted $40,000. Grants, of course, we are well in the black there. We've received $315,783, and our miscellaneous revenues, which it's my suggestion that we don't budget because they're uncertain, of course. We have received over $15,500 in miscellaneous revenues. So those two lines are not a surprise, but of great benefit to the town. And bottom line, we've received $1.3 million, just over $1.3 million in revenues, including the grants, and $1.052 million in actual revenues. So I feel pretty good about our year-end numbers. June is not a spectacular month for revenues, but I do feel that some of the deficient lines will catch up somewhat, and we will add to our other taxes, licenses, and fees. And B&O taxes is almost dead on our projection. So given that, I feel pretty good about our revenue picture for year-ended 2021. Any questions about the revenues?
I just want to add, we received a check for $5,000 today from B&O.
That's good.
Projects was done over the past
Very good.
4 years, so.
Yeah, our B&Os are consistent as usual, and that's a good thing, you know. And when we do have special projects, of course, that's a huge plus. But our base B&Os are very consistent, and you know, unlike some other municipalities, we've been able to depend upon that for our town finances. So I feel pretty good about the revenue picture as a whole. Any other questions?
Yeah, David, do you feel that this administration has left us financially in a lot better shape than when we found it, as far as just in general?
Well, I'll speak to, this administration because I was the accountant, for 3/4 of it, and I would say we are in good shape. That being said, if you discount the grants and excess funds, we're similar to a lot of municipalities in that our revenues are inflexible. Our general revenues, we really don't have an excess that we could allocate to, say, a Packer truck if had it not been for any type of grant or other assistance. So, what I'd like to see is an increase, of course, in those revenues and general revenues. But I think we've done a pretty good job of throttling our expenses and maintaining a stable financial picture. So that would be my answer.
Okay, fair enough.
Any other questions? Okay. If we could then take a look at the expenditures. They too are under the year-ended column on the right segment. We'll begin with general government, and I have 3 lines highlighted. First being the police judge line, and we're well aware that we had some expenses throughout the year for the police judge set of expenditures that we would need a budget revision for. And you'll see later, I do have a proposed budget revision to take care of these deficiencies. But at current, we are over budget by $8,172 in that set of lines, which is not a huge amount, but it is an amount that we can absorb through some other lines and revenues. Our elections, we did not allocate a budget to begin with. We were uncertain of the cost, but the budget revision, as proposed, will include an amount for our election expense, which I estimated around $4,500. So you'll see that in the budget revision upcoming later this evening. And the City Hall line, at first glance, looks like we way overspent, but that's not really the case. Our playground equipment came out of that line, and there is a budget revision to recognize the grants and monies for that was set aside by council for the playground equipment, putting it into the city hall set of lines to take care of the expenditures when they come in. So that amount will be absorbed as well, or recognized through some of our grant funds that are in green above in the revenue column. Any questions before we turn the page on expenditures? Okay, hearing none. Page 2, we begin with public safety. Everything looks fine as far as police and fire. I think we're well within budget on both of those departments, as we are with streets and highways and street lights. We are a little bit over on street lights, nothing significant, $2,568, which we also can absorb. Health and sanitation, we do need to add a small budget revision for garbage department to account for the extra or added expenditures for our new full-time employee and the retirement that we pay actually for one of our part-time employees as well as the new full-time employee. Again, that's not too significant. We're over about $10,334, but again, we have adequate revenues in miscellaneous and other revenues to take care of that. Parks and Rec, I believe, was fine. Fairs and festivals, we were a little bit over, $651. And again, I believe we have a line item in the budget revision later to take care of that as well. Overall, you'll see really true bottom line. We've expended 93.66% of our budget. And last year, we were a bit over. We were 103.57%. So we've done a good job this year, and I see no reason why we will not fall within the constraints of the state auditor and be fine as far as our year-end budget numbers. Any questions about any of those expenditure lines? Okay, hearing none, we have our balance sheet. It's the interim balance sheet at May 31st, 2021. It's a colorful sheet which details our 8 different funds, beginning with the general fund. At May 31st, we had $181,000 and change in our main checking account. Labor Day had $7,762 and change. We had investments with the Bureau of Treasury Investments for the state, $311,506, and stabilization of $13,259.30 with the BTI. We also have time deposit with the City National of $187,335.92 in stabilization. Taxes receivable will be calculated in July. We'll have a new number for that at the end of the year once the sheriff reconciles his books. We have due to funds from sanitation, and I noticed we have a check that was delivered today from Sanitation Department, which will go into the general fund coffers, and other assets of $62.50. We had trade and accounts payable related to payroll of $34,123, which includes mostly quarterly taxes and monthly taxes, which would be remitted after June 30. We have a fund balance then of $196,003 in the general fund. I won't go into any detail on the other 7 funds unless you want me to. Pretty self-explanatory. We have the cash balances and very, very few accounts payable for the other 7 funds. But again, I think this is a healthy balance sheet, and moving forward, it should be an asset to the town. Any questions about our balance sheet? Okay. That wraps up the financial report, unless you'd like for me to proceed with the budget revision. But I do have one request, and that would be of council to permit me to go ahead and post a wanted ad on our website and our Facebook, as well as the any other place that we can for an accountant, because I'll have to cease my duties as of June 30. I'll continue, of course, for training purposes, and I can continue. It's just I would like to post that as soon as possible, and get the suggested criteria and qualifications, and then respond with RFPs, hopefully by July 9th, so that the new council can take a look at them and make a selection.
Somebody like to entertain that motion?
Make a motion.
Council Walker makes a motion to do advertising to retain an accountant. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
Second, Council Long. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, well, and one last thing, I've enjoyed, serving as your accountant, and again, I do think that we've done fairly well with our financial picture, for the past 4 years, so kudos to everyone.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's about the best this town's ever been in financially for a long, long time. Thank you.
David,
What'd you say?
BJ wants to know if we're gonna advertise for a CPA or an accountant. She prefers a CPA.
I would say accountant, and then have on the list of preferred qualification, CPA, or a government, qualified governmental professional.
Did you hear that?
A qualified government, I guess they
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah,
certified to do it.
right,
Is that what I mean?
right.
Okay, who's gonna put it in, or somebody being off in the end, or, not?
I don't know. We'll get with them and let you know. Okay?
Okay, just tell them.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Welcome Police Department, Chief Bryan.
Three, two, one.
There you go.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, Councilwoman, Mr. City Attorney, and Mayor-elect Von Talbert. Honorable guest, John Prime from Marmet Police Department to present you the June monthly police report. As usual, I start out with computer-aided dispatch. It shows that Kanawha County recorded for the month of May 21, the Marmet Police Department was dispatched to 312 calls. This is a 15% increase over the same time last year, which had 271 calls. Total volume of CAD calls received by the police department over the last calendar year was 3,055. This is 135% less, or 4% decrease of the same period. The monthly trend line indicated a 29% increase from April to May, and the average calls are 255 calls per month. Calls are broken down 3 categories: service, criminal, and traffic. There were 138 criminal calls for 44% of activity. There were 110 traffic calls for 35% of the activity. And rounding off, service calls at 21%, 66 calls for the month. Criminal calls at 44, there were 26 NIBRS cases. As you know, they're required to be reported to the state police and the FBI. There were 14 arrests and citations issued, 4 warrants and capiases. People that had already been arrested didn't make it to court. 3 shoplifting cases, 2 possession of controlled substances, 2 drug paraphernalias, 1 battery, 1 driving under the influence, and 1 destruction of property. There were 83 contact investigations opened by the police department, and 77 contacts or investigations were closed. Traffic stops, 110 traffic stops for 35%, 110 traffic calls, 89 traffic stops. 44 traffic citations were issued, or about 49%. 45 warnings, equaling 51%. There were 9 motor vehicle crashes, 5 traffic details, 2 disabled vehicles, 2 vehicle identification checks, 2 vehicles towed, and 1 hit and run leaving the scene. The ratio of 16 moving violations for 36%, 28 non-moving violations for 64%. And for a ratio of 4 to 7. Mainly the top citations that were issued, there were 9 revoked drivers, 7 speeding tickets, 6 motor vehicle inspection violations, 6 no insurance, 3 equipment, 3 traffic controls, which is a red light, expired registrations, 3 stop signs, 2, 1 failure to yield, which was involved in an accident, 1 improper turn, 1 no passing, 1 unsafe operation, and 1 seatbelt. Service calls, 20-foot patrols, 16 details, 9 domestic violence petitions were served, 8 wellness checks, 3 911 hang-ups, 3 emergency responses with EMS and fire, 2 extra patrols, 2 overdoses, 2 lockouts, 1 alarm residential, 1 animal complaint, and 1 escape. For council's view, as always, there are the officer statistics included. I'd like you to take a look at Officer Lopez. He was hired 2 months ago. He's here. Stand up for me, please. If you don't know Officer Lopez, he's one of our newest officers, and I'd like you to take a look at his look at his statistics for last month. He was ranked very high. He's exceeding our expectations and had a good productivity rating. So thank you, Officer Lopez, for your fine work. Significant incidences. There was 1 Pennsylvania man charged with a DUI just after midnight on Saturday, May 15th. Nicholas J. Nurley from Lower Borough, Pennsylvania, was operating a dark blue Ram pickup truck when Officer Walls, also present in the back tonight, observed that vehicle. He made the stop. He determined that Mr. Nuri was impaired with glassy eyes and appeared his speech was slurred. And he was difficult to speak to, slow to respond. Officer Walls smelled alcohol on his breath, conducted a field sobriety test on that individual. The individual failed that field sobriety test, and then he followed up his observations with a pre-breath test of .179, which is over the legal limit. And the individual was also arrested and taken to South Central. Local residents picked up on warrants and capiases. I threw this in here because it's the same players over and over again. Monday, May 10th, Lieutenant Buttricks conducted an investigation, arrested Tiffany Noel for an outstanding felony on charges from the Marmet Exxon. She was booked through the PDO, transferred to South Central Regional Jail. Spent a couple days there. She had a $5,000 10% bond. Next one was Monday, May 15th, 21, Officer Lopez. And I understand that may not have been Officer Lopez, that was Officer Walls. Was vehicle patrol near Route 94 when he observed a black Jeep make an illegal turn on the Route 94 at Cemetery Drive. Vehicle was traveling north on, crossed over the median. The operator of the vehicle was identified as Daniel Patterson of Marmet. After a brief investigation, police learned that Metro 911 dispatcher that Ms. Patterson had a warrant for her arrest. Go figure, for possession with the intent to deliver a controlled substance. She was also transported to South Central Regional Jail. Friday, May 21st, myself and members of the West Virginia Department of Corrections Parole Commission Task Force met. They asked for our assistance to take inmate Sean Robb into custody. Robb was located down at 8710 California Avenue, which is a known drug location in our town. He was found on the 2nd floor in the bedroom and taken. He was arrested to the South Central Regional Jail. No bail was sent because he was already on parole. And lastly, May 11th, myself, Lieutenant Buttricks, and Officer Lopez executed a Marmet warrant for Charles Robert Jones. Spoke about him last month. He resided at 303 81 Street. The warrant was issued for indecent exposure that occurred at Bill Wells Park on April 5th. Mr. Jones was processed, transferred to transferred here to our municipal court where he was released on bond. Lastly, code enforcement. In the month of May, the Marmac Code Enforcement Officer observed 18 new code enforcement violations, complaints or requests for service. All complaints were reviewed. Case files have been opened. 14 of those cases were resolved without code enforcement action. They included 7 high grass violations, 6 dilapidated junk vehicles on private property, 2 trash and 2 furniture violations. A sewer complaint from a prior month on 81st Street was resolved. 2 code enforcement cases for the month remain open, high grass at 8706 Maryland Avenue and the dilapidated vehicles at 926 98th Street. 1 municipal citation was issued to the property owner of a tenant building located at 318 95th Street for failing to comply with instructions to cut his high grass. With that, I did not get a chance to go in this next incident. I'm hoping we can pass this on, but I did want to mention to council about our trash problems that we're having at our apartment complexes here in town, and I'm sure, as I've talked to the street department, Mr. Hawkins, he's going to talk a little bit and follow up with what I have to say, but I can tell you folks that this, as a code enforcement officer, a week doesn't go by that I have a trash complaint at the apartment complexes. Kind of need to get on top of this. I've talked to some other folks, and I pulled up for council's review the single-family residential unit ordinance for the town. Basically says that customary routine collection and disposal of solid waste for single-family residential units, including each apartment in a multifamily dwelling. The annual charge is $180 per month, located in town. This is important. The town may determine what is more efficient and which owner shall be responsible for the fee. I'll give you an example. Complexes, if we were to change this, get an amendment or direction from council next time around, we can determine whether or not we want these apartment complexes to go under commercial status, which I think is really relevant because they are commercial buildings. These people are making money. The owners of it are making money, and they're getting away. Because here's the problem as it currently stands. You live in an apartment complex. Right now, we currently bill each tenant in that complex $15. Problem is, by the time we get the billing, they don't pay, they move out, and the town's out the business fees for that. However, the owners of that property are still doing business, and if they were in commercial status, we would be charging the commercial owners, I think it's $360. Let me just find out exactly. They would be paying $30 instead of $15 a month for each unit. So a 6-member unit would be $180. I can tell you right now, there are landlords out there that don't pay us $600 a year in B&O, but they'd be paying us at least $600 for the trash services if the town decides they wanted to go that way. Or the town can turn around and say, we're not going to pick up your trash anymore. You have to have commercial status. So there's a couple options there for you folks to discuss next time around. I showed you 3 of the pictures there. There's the one on Maryland Avenue, another one here at 87 and a half, and then this other one is 9700. The complex over here has got about 10 units to it. So I'll let my colleague discuss with you the issues that he's had and the conversations that I've had to try to get this resolved. So with that, I really don't have anything more to say. I'm certainly open for any kind of questions from council on the monthly report. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good report.
All right.
Okay, next we have Department Head Jason Hawkins. Welcome back.
Good evening. Just to follow up a little bit about what he said, we're running into the apartment complexes having anywhere between 40 to 60 bags of trash, and we're picking up on Mondays on the addresses he mentioned. By Tuesdays, going into Wednesdays, it's right back again. It's getting spread everywhere by animals and bears and critters and everything. Just wanted to follow up with him. If there's something we can do with that, I was told maybe we could make them get a dumpster, but need to go through council to get that worked out. First and foremost, I want to thank Living Faith, the church, on helping us. Weed Eat the Hillside, Oregon Avenue, 85th Street, Ohio Avenue. These, I want to say young men, but I'm sure it's all ages, have stepped up and helped us 2 out of the last 4 weeks, and we really thank you. I really thank you for that. A couple things that I've got to talk about is some of the things that are in trash cans now. I know I've said this multiple times, but we need to get a grasp on what people are putting in their trash cans. I got pictures of propane tanks, the little green ones, in trash cans. And we throw it in the back of a truck. If one of the guys hear that, they're to rip that bag open and see what it is, because we done had a dumpster fire, and it was pretty good. It was an explosion, actually. Please get with your neighbors and citizens in Marmet and tell them I'm going to come up with some flyers and stuff and get some things put to where we can, I guess, advertise that online to where, you know, if you got an issue with something, call Town Hall. We'll get you some way to get it picked up. We'll try to help you out as much as we can. I'll get you an idea of what we can do with them. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to find out what we can do with propane tanks, which I still don't have an answer yet. There's a couple things that I want to touch ground on around town. There's some, where they went through with fiber optic. There's lids out there that are 2-3 inches high. Please be careful. I mean, you're going to pull into, they got one sitting in a parking spot at the rec building. We got cones sitting on it right now, but please be careful. Those will bust your tires.
Jason, did they ever give you an answer on that?
I called that guy twice, and he's answered me both times. He's not neglected to talk to me, but he said we're first on the list to get the lids put back the way they're supposed to be.
I mean, they're going all the way up the river.
They're still putting line in. He said that's what the holdup is right now, is they're still installing the line. So he said once it gets done, they'll be back to do that. Working with the water company, I know you guys have seen the holes and stuff out here on Main McCorkle. The guy that's over that is a different guy now. The guy's name's Andy. Absolutely, he's a blessing to work with. I called him. Miss Gaines called me. It was one night late and said that there was a 12-inch hole down there where they had just dug. That night he sent somebody out. They filled that hole in, and by the end of that next week, they had done concrete and blacktopped that back over. So that's something. And plus, I got with the state on that pipe, and they're going to see what they can do about coming up and just makeshift fix. I'm wanting to say makeshift fix by, instead of digging it all back up, they could slide something back in it. We could start that way, because I don't know how far that thing goes back, going back through underneath that building, all the way back to that drain by the church. I mean, that could be massive, massive erosion in there.
Goes all the way to Long Alley.
It does?
Yep.
Where at?
From McCorkle
About
to
the
the
old
Long
Dairy
Alley.
Queen.
When they uncovered that, it was a metal corrugated, and it looked like
Completely
Swiss cheese.
rotted.
That
Yes,
was
it
in
was-
there, that was there when the Dairy Queen was there.
So
It's-
they put it in when Underwood came through right at election time and gave some promises out. They stuck that line in there, and but it was back before they went to plastic drain lines, and it's going to be a problem at some point, pretty soon.
It's going to be pretty bad. And some of the benches that are down at Bill Wells, I know y'all didn't see that. We fixed one of them that was broke. We're going back. We're going to try to fix all the rest of them down there to give people places to sit, to overlook the riverbank. And we are trying to clean that up. I can only say that the last 2 years, COVID has took so much away from Marmet in certain ways, but helped Marmet in other ways. We used to get prisoners. We used to get 5 prisoners every other week. And the work that they used to do was astronomical. Now that they're gone, you see what they used to do. We miss that tremendously, especially with a small crew that we have for streets and everything that we've been doing. I can't remember the gentleman's name that made a comment about the handicap ramp at Bill Wells. We cleaned it off, and if anybody sees that, I mean, I know when the river's up, it's going to flood. But if anybody goes down there and they see that sidewalk messed up, call somebody, call town hall, call somebody, because we're everywhere else that just down over that hill, we just cut that once a week. And RJ's usually pretty good at going over the hill, making sure all that stuff's cut and cleaned up, but one man at one area is kind of hard to do for 4.5 hours in a day's time. Then shoveling, that was kind of rough. We got that sign put up, Mayor. I know you've seen that Ben Moore sign at the field down there. It's bright, it's solid too. A door, we need to find a door for the concession stand. I just got a piece of plywood put up there where somebody had kicked it in. They were making a home out of it. Now, the trash stuff at the apartments, I don't know if you mentioned the one on 98th Street. 95th Street's got two that are really bad as far as 15, 20, 25 bags of trash. And I'm talking about as soon as we pick it up the very next day, he could go over and cite them. He's been doing that. 98th Street, coming out by the stoplight, that red building right there, we picked up 77 bags, and there's 3 apartments that's rented there. 77 bags today. That's getting to be kind of every week now, just about everywhere we go. But one other thing I want to stress, when it's going to be 100 degrees, we start at 5:30. We try to beat that heat, and I got a picture of the temperature in that trash truck. At 10 o'clock 2 weeks ago was 142 degrees. And that's not walking behind the truck, that's in the truck. That's the driver sitting in the truck driving that truck through. That's kind of hard on somebody to drive a truck like that all the time. So if we miss your trash, call, we'll come back and get it. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm trying to give my guys a break because it's hot. It's hot out there, and we have no airflow in those trucks. So, and if you got any questions, my goodness, call, ask. Can you put this in the trash? Should I not do this? Call. We'll do something. We'll pick something up. We'll make arrangements to get it, no matter what it is. We'll do our best to help. That's what we're here for as a citizen. So just let me know if y'all need anything. I'll gladly come and get it. Anything else?
Appreciate you. Parks and Rec update. Polly's not here. I know the bands have been doing really well, making money. Anybody have anything on Parks and Rec?
I'll just add one thing. He talked to me the other day. He has interest. I don't know the date school starts back exactly. I know he mentioned to me about wanting to do a back-to-school dance for the kids at the rec center. Maybe a little pizza, a little drink, something like that. So, which sounds like a pretty good idea, something for the kids. So, yeah, I told him that'd be good.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, we have resolution for revision of levy estimate budget. Have Recorder Fontaine. Dave, you have this? Yeah.
Lindsay, take another one.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it.
Okay, what this is the year-end final budget revision in order that we maintain all accounts within the 2% threshold that the state auditor allows for expenditure lines within the major departments. If everyone could refer to the request for revision in their packet, please. We'll take a look at what I would suggest. Does everyone have it? Okay. What we've done, or what I've suggested here, is that we, with the revenues, recognize the increases over and above the amounts that were previously approved by the state auditor and this council. For instance, with our grants, we had recognized $242,000 in our budget, and we'd received actually an additional $73,783. So we would show that as a line 366 revenue increase. Likewise, for excess tax on utilities, we budgeted $40,000, and I expect that we will receive $50,000. So we would recognize the additional $10,000 for line 304. Likewise, for wine and liquor, IRP fees, and insurance claims, as well as miscellaneous revenues. In the previously approved amount, you'll see what we have currently in our budget, and then the increased amounts will bring us up to par with what I would project at June 30 being received for those revenue lines. Total of those increases are $110,883. Below that, we have the expenditures, which need to balance to the recognized amount for our revenues. And beginning with the police judge office line, you'll see that we've previously budgeted $16,097, projected, as I mentioned before, about a $10,000 deficiency. So we needed to increase and recognize an additional $10,000 in the expenditure line for the police judge budget, giving us a revised amount of $26,097 for the year. Elections, I'd mentioned that I thought it was around 4,000. I've actually estimated 4,700, so we would recognize 4,700 in election line expenditures for 438 department. City Hall, recognizing the added grants and revenues for the playground equipment and swings, $70,283 for a total of $215,183 out of City Hall, where the actual expenditures will be paid once we receive the equipment. Streetlights actually added $2,500, which is minimal, but that will bring us into compliance with that line item as well, for a total of $20,000 for the adjusted budget. Garbage department suggests that we add $22,000. That'll cover any and all expenditures in June for our added costs for our full-time employee and retirement costs for our part-time employee that we allow full-time hours, basically. Fairs and festivals increased by $500, bringing us to $4,300 for that line. And beautification programs of $900, which prior to that we had not budgeted for that line item, $950. Total of proposed increases for expenditures, $110,883, which foots with the revenue increase projections of $110,883. This is budget revision number 3 for the general fund for the year, and statutorily after July 1st, we will need a budget revision to recognize the ending fund balance, but that'll take place at the first council meeting in July. I know that's a mouthful, but any questions about the revenues and/or expenditures? Okay. I do have the resolution. Would you like for me to read it?
Sure, if you'd like to. And you have the sign-off sheet?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't included.
This is a resolution at a regular session of the Municipal Council held June 22nd, 2021. The following order was made and entered, subject to revision of the levy estimate budget of the town of Marmet. The following resolution was offered. Resolved that subject to approval of the state auditor as ex officio chief inspector of public offices, the municipal council does hereby direct the budget be revised prior to the expenditure or obligation of funds for which no appropriation or insufficient appropriation currently exists, as shown on general fund budget revision number 3, a copy of which is entered as part of this record. Okay, I'll need a mayor to ask for a.
Go ahead for roll call. Can you call it from the list there?
Okay. I'll do a roll call for approval, or yes or no. Councilperson Long,
Yes.
Councilperson McGee,
Yes.
Councilperson Skeens,
Yes.
Councilperson Thompson,
Yes.
Councilperson Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Snodgrass,
Yes.
and Recorder Fontalbert.
Yes.
All being positively, so all yes votes.
Okay. And Mayor, we need a motion and a second to
Okay,
accept.
somebody like to make a motion to approve the budget revision number 3.
I'll make a motion.
Council McGee, second Council Long. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We need another roll call on that?
No.
Okay.
The adoption of the foregoing resolution having been moved by Councilperson McGee and duly seconded by Councilperson Long, the vote thereon was as follows, as previously read. Whereupon Mayor Snodgrass declared said resolution duly adopted, and it is therefore adjudged and ordered that the said resolution be, and the same is hereby adopted as so stated above, and Recorder Fontalbert is authorized to fix her signature on the attached request for revision to approved budget to be sent to the state auditor for approval. And that's it.
Duly noted, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so she can get it. Okay, thanks. Will she be able to get that by our time limit? Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the, for the order, I have an ordinance of council approving adding credit card fees from the company onto the credit card user. Second reading. Recorder Fontalbert.
I have the ordinance here for.
Yeah, Teresa's
It's,
gonna
you
do
can read the beginning of it. I don't think you have to read the whole
it.
thing.
Right,
It's got
that's what he said.
Oh, okay.
just the title. Okay.
Oh, okay. Ordinance of council creating, enacting, and approving Article 137.03 of the codified ordinances concerning payment of transaction fees by customer. Is that what you're needing to read? Okay.
Yeah, do we have a motion to approve the second?
I'll make a motion.
Council McGee makes second, or
I
makes a
second.
motion, second Council Skeens, all in favor, aye.
Uh,
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, next of order, we have a resolution from Marmet to accept a donation of arch at Ball Field from Kevin and Mary Meadows. Council Long.
Yes, I'm sure everyone is aware that Kevin and Mary Meadows generously donated an arch that was installed at the ball field in May, and for the record, I think it's very nice, and clearly a lot of work went into it, and it's my understanding that he and the mayor had worked on it for about a year. And as protocol with any donation, upon our attorney's advice, I added a resolution to formally accept the donation of the arch, so it will go on record as a city asset, and of course formally thank the Meadows. However, last week I was speaking with Mr. Meadows, and he's considering at this time of taking the arch down and rescinding his donation. I personally, and I believe council agrees with me, I would like to keep the arch, but of course, we want to respect his wishes. And he donated the arch, so at this point, he wants us to rescind the resolution, and I guess he will kind of get back with me at a later date. And I guess, you know, if there's anything that we need to discuss, we can.
Open the floor up for discussions. Counselor?
I'm not sure you rescinded, we need this motion to continue to the next meeting.
We can, it just, whatever you think is best. Okay. You know, that way he can kind of get back with us and let us know what he wants to do.
Should
Okay.
making a motion to table,
Yeah,
continue.
continue, okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second Council McGee, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, next we have resolution certifying the results of the June 8th, 2021 Town of Marmet elections. This was should have been done a couple days after the canvass, but it's obviously been past that point, so we'll turn that over to Recorder Fontaine.
Fear is that as long as we did it within 48 hours, we did it 48 48 hours in order for someone to request a recount. As long as we got it, within Vera said doing it tonight was perfectly fine, perfectly legal, and no problem. So, yeah, we didn't have to have it exactly 48 hours after. But it does sound like we would need to do that. But Teresa's going to read it for us.
I have it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, and you need it read in full, correct, Scott?
Just the title again?
Okay, the
it's
title's fine.
self-explanatory.
BJ, how much of it do I need to read, or do I need to read all of it?
You hear that, BJ?
Just read all of it.
Just
Okay, read
of
all of it, okay. A resolution of council of the town of Marmet certifying the
No, I don't think you need to go into the results unless you want to.
Oh,
The results of it.
oh, okay,
Okay, okay,
However, Scott says we should do it.
okay.
okay.
You said title?
That's all the normal process of call, unless there's some election regulation requires it to be read twice. I can't imagine the case. But normally you just read the title of the resolution ordinance unless somebody makes a motion to read it in its entirety.
Yeah, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do.
Just go ahead and read
Okay.
title.
A resolution of council of the town of Marmet certifying the results of the municipal election for the offices of mayor, town recorder, and city council members.
Well, first, any public comment? None being heard, we have a motion to approve this
I'll
resolution.
make a motion to approve the election results.
Council Walker makes a motion, we have a second.
I'll make a second.
Second, Council Long, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next of order, we have new business, repairs to ball field for baseball. Council Long.
Yes. A few weeks ago, Nick Green had given me a call, and the team that his son and some of the other children are on, they're a traveling team, but our ball field is their home field, and there was some repairs that they were requesting that we should look into. And if I'm correct, Nick, you said that you and some of the coaches and parents and stuff, you can kind of pretty much provide the labor, correct? Yeah, and enclosed in your packets, he went ahead and he graciously went and got us all the quotes. Most of it here is things for like repairs for the fence, and also the batting cages need repaired, because it's my understanding that, I guess, like pop-up balls and different things are hitting the kids and.
The net above it is all tore up, so when they're hit, it's coming out. If you sit on the end of it where the bleachers are, I've been hit, my wife's been hit, just pitching. If the boy don't hit it, it pops out from under. We've already put and bought some stuff to fix that in, but none of the parents got hit on the bleachers, but all around it messed up, so ball fly out everywhere.
Yeah, and on here also too, there was a Turf Face Athletics MVP, and what he explained to me, it's like these pellets that you kind of put around the dirt portion, and it absorbs up like all the water and the rain, and kind of will help keep from like weeds growing around it and stuff. And then down toward the total is things that they have already done and paid out of their own pockets. Is there anything else, Nick, I'm not including, or?
No, I think I left paint off there, but, we'll even take care of that out of our own pocket. We're just trying to give the boys and community a home again, because I've grown up here, almost all of you know me. I lived at that ball field. I played football there, played baseball, played basketball across the street, and you can see now our youth isn't there no more. There's no home for them. That was a second home to me, my sister, my cousins. We didn't have field. I mean, there's no team field now. And that's what we're trying to do, because it is a travel ball team, but all the boys on it, we've got from local. There's a couple boys from Marmet, a couple boys from Cabot Creek, Chesapeake. We're trying to stay local and bring all these boys that's going to be on our Riverside team and stuff. We'd like to eventually get like a second go at the other, like it used to be. We want to get the youth back involved in it.
Yeah, and on the batting cages, there was one time I had already done talk to Barry, and he confirmed the same thing Nick did. The only one that actually has it is Amazon. For us, I'm not sure if we have an Amazon Prime account, so there may not be even the shipping that, you know, Nick had found online as well. But, you know, without the MVP pellets, the total was like $1607.28. And then with the pellets, the cheapest that he found was at Green Feed and Seed, and it's $12.99 for a 50-pound bag. And, you know, and that bag will cover like 12 square feet. And so roughly, if we, you know, got the whole thing, that portion of it is like $7,361, and that makes the grand total for everything $8968.28. So I wanted to bring it to council and the governing body tonight to kind of discuss, to see, you know, if any of this that we can go ahead and take care at this time.
We do have an Amazon account to answer that, so that's good.
I figured we did, but if not, I knew I did.
With the exception of the granules, I mean, I would say approve the 1607.28, but some for discussion.
Yeah.
No, I certainly sympathize because I grew up playing for the Marmot Reds and practicing at the ball field and playing for the Marmot, I think, Raptors at the time and practicing basketball at the rec center. So I tell I'm with you there. Is there anything on here? I know what the MVPs was 7,000. Is that right? Is there anything on here that's absolute priority, or is this all included, Teresa?
1607 is pretty much
Everything. Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's right behind home plate.
Okay.
The drainage there is horrible. The bases, they're not good anymore.
Yeah.
They use so much. And the batting cage. That's pretty much what that 1607
Okay.
take care of the three top priority things.
Okay.
Can I have the floor, Mayor?
Yes.
I think while we've got the volunteer help and everything, we should fund the whole project, and, you know, with oversight. Because, you know, the biggest problem, and Jason will agree, you know, any help he can get from the buildings and maintenance standpoint is much appreciated. And if those folks want to take that on, I think that's a small price to pay. Just my opinion.
Any other
I'll
discussion?
agree with that one thing that Mr. Thompson's talking about, because we've, let that ball field go downhill for quite a few years, so with the federal money we're getting and everything, I'm quite sure Mayor Fontaine will be able to find out if it's legal to do. I feel like we ought to fund the whole thing, and actually, the next council, hopefully, will set a recreation budget for the ball field. So, I agree that we should try to fund the whole thing to get the ball field back into a safe working order for the kids.
What account does this, do you folks presume this is, American Rescue money is absolutely not available for this?
Correct.
Well,
Right.
use town's money then.
David, what do you think?
You did say with the pellets and stuff, it will kind of help undo the other work. Is that correct?
Yeah, what we plan on, like, there's dirt there too, to help rebuild the field itself. And then once you put that pellets on, not only are we gonna try to have the drainage a lot better repaired behind home plate, that everything flows off, but those pellets absorb the rain. They've got them like down Pigley Avenue on those fields, and those fields are, you know, real nice. You just have to spray them and it takes care of that water. So hopefully that'll eliminate the weeds too, because I've been dragging it myself until the coaches, you know, out there. It's looking a lot better now, but, you know, it's something that you wanna have to keep doing with those pellets that help to keep taken care of.
Mayor, I'll put a motion on the floor that we fund that from the general fund in full.
$8,968.28.
Absolutely.
Do we have a second?
I'd then make a second.
Second count, Walker makes a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Good job. And enjoy a new scoreboard too. That's a state-of-the-art scoreboard. It's got Bluetooth and all that, so that's, should help you out there too.
And I really appreciate all of your help with this. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, helping get some of these prices and stuff, that was very helpful, and I really appreciate you.
Does council have any good and welfare? Does the public have any good and
I
welfare?
do.
I've
I've appreciated being on the council for 4 years. It's been ups and downs and ins and outs, but I hope the next council and our new mayor a great 4 years in there, and hopefully the town straightens up and we have a good, productive term. Thank you.
Council Thompson?
Mayor, I want to thank you for your service over the last 4 years. It's been greatly appreciated. I give you a hard time, but you made $1 an hour through this process.
That was a nickel.
There's a lot of, I can't imagine being in a foxhole with anybody else. I think we've done a lot for the town over the last 4 years. I think this has been a good experience for us all. But that being said, I think we need to figure out how to get the division out of this town. We got through the election, and I thought everything would kind of calm down, but the mean-spiritedness that has went around about the sign at the ball field is just deplorable. And you look at what an asset that is of this town, and you got the person that donated thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours into something, and I know Kevin, but it upsets me to hear the conversation him and Ms. Long had, with the way he looks at it now. Kevin was a resident here for years, grew up here, doesn't even live here anymore, and just wanted to give something back. And we need to figure out how to get rid of this mean-spiritedness that's going on, because the town is never going to get anywhere if we continue down this path.
That works both ways, though.
Anybody else have any comments?
Councilman McGee, I've enjoyed being on the railroad committee with you for 4 years too, so thank you.
Did you all have any?
Yeah, and we see where the issues lie. I would like to thank, it's been an honor serving the residents of Marmet. We've done so much good over the last 4 years. It's been an honor to work with the police department. They have really built themselves up since what we were handed. Street department, sanitation, it's been a great road, and again, it was an honor representing the town of Marmet. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your service, and Bobby's and Johnny's. It's been a pleasure serving all of you, and I'm looking forward to the future, and, go Marmet.
Okay, we are adjourned.
I'll make that motion to
I already made it.
well, not resign, but to leave.
All right,
Did you hear that live stream off?
Yeah.
He said he makes a motion. He makes a motion to leave.
Appreciate it, Mike.
All right. All right, bye.
He gave up by the time I got up.